Hi guys, this is a quick InDesign demo on how to set up lists and numbered lists in InDesign. You might have run into a bit of frustration trying to set up your cookbooks with the steps of the instructions. And if I didn't get to you, this is the same information I probably gave you live, so you can rewatch it with a couple additional tips and tricks to set up nice lists of information. So as you can see here, I have the same content formatted two different ways. Sometimes you'll get lists of bullets and sometimes you'll get numbered lists, and you can format them using the same tools, or you can kind of do things a little bit differently. I'm going to give you a bunch of different options of how to achieve essentially this look. Okay, because as you've all figured out by now, in Adobe products, you can do the same thing 100 different ways. So here are just a few ways that you can work on this. So this is what the final product is going to look like, just so you have an idea of where we're going. But first, we're going to start with just some ugly content I copied off of the internet. So you can see I found this bunch of information, nice list with pictures, pasted it into InDesign, and this is what I have. We are going to make this into a nice list. First, I'm going to go back into normal mode. I personally like to see the hidden characters. I just think it makes it a lot easier to work on, and I think it'll help you guys see what I'm doing. Move this guy. Okay. Alright, so first I'm just going to get the copy. I'm not going to worry about the headline right now. We are going to make a bulleted list to get started with, and then we'll move on to a numbered list. So I'm taking out all the numbers. I'll know where each new number starts because each one of these is a sentence. So we should be good. Okay, 10 things sounds like plenty of things. All right. There you go. It's nice and big. First of all, if you need to add a bullet, the key command is Alt-8, and that's a bullet. Additionally, you could find that in your Glyphs palette, which looks like this, which can be found under Window, Type, Glyphs. And in here is where you can find all of the characters of a typeface, including all the non-traditional characters. And it's going to show you per the typeface you currently have selected. You can also change the typeface. So if you went down to, like your Zaf Dingbats or Wingdings, you're going to get a lot more funky symbols that you can use for bullets, right? So I could have arrows. I can really have whatever I want. One thing you want to watch out for if you start using these like wingdings as your bullets is if I hit the space bar, now this space is huge because it's also a wingdings space, which is way bigger than what Minion Pro's space was. So I'm probably just going to copy and paste to get a regular space there. Alright, so typically when you're laying things out, you want one bullet style for your whole document. If we want to do something fun, we can use this arrow today. If you want just your standard bullet, again, it's keyboard command Alt-8, the number 8, and that will get you just a bullet. You can always make your bullets bigger or smaller by just changing the point size. Sometimes the bullets come in kind of big. That would be kind of a nice, just your standard bullet. There's sort of a fun arrow, whatever you want to use. We'll use the fun arrow today. I'm feeling festive. Alright, so if I just copied and pasted this bullet in front of every new sentence, I know it's a new sentence because I'll see this paragraph symbol at the end of the previous line. I also just kind of know because it's all of the capital letters. There you go. Alright, so there is a list. Now, you might have noticed on my sample that we don't want the second line of these to fall back to the left of the arrow. We want them to actually fall to a line left with this A above it, right? So if I drew in a guide, you would want everything to line up left aligned to this guide. Okay? The first way I'm going to do it, I'll make this a little bit less narrow so more lines wrap. Alright, here is the quick and easy way to force the line wraps. I'll do it on the second bullet so you see it happening. You do the key command Control Pipe. The pipe is the key right above the Enter key, below the backspace key. It's also one of the slashes. So if I hit Control Pipe, you can see now I have this symbol that looks like a cross. That is forcing the alignment of all of the rest of the lines of that paragraph to that point. So now you can see the word year has popped over. We can do it again. Here's another one. So if I hit Control Pipe, you'll see the next line of type just pushed itself under here. If I did it at this word, or even like in the middle of the word adult, that's where the next line would align to. So that is a really quick way to make bulleted lists, right? So I just kind of go through. Anytime I see a line wrap, I hit Control Pipe, and now I have a pretty nice looking list. Okay, that is your first, easiest, sneakiest way to make bulleted lists. This will not work for numbered lists because the width of each different number is different. So the left alignment would happen at irregular intervals. And I'll show you that when we get to numbered lists. But this is a really great tip for making bulleted lists. You don't have to worry about tabbing. You don't have to worry about messing with some of the other paragraph tools that we're going to get into. You can just put in a couple spaces, put in the force alignment with the Control Pipe, and there you go. And if you wanted extra, see I put that space to the side, so that didn't work. You want the extra space on that side of the two there, like that. And then honestly the easiest way to do it is just to select everything, copy it, and paste it down your list. If you wanted to change, how much space is between the bullet and where the text starts. So that looks pretty nice. Another really good tip for either you have numbered lists or bulleted lists is you kind of want a little extra space between each new bullet because it makes it a little bit easier to read, to break it out into individual pieces of information versus just a huge amount of words. So if I go up to the paragraph tool, I am in the advanced mode, which I think is much more useful than essentials. So I would switch to advanced right now if you're not already in advanced, because you get this nice bar at the top of your screen that has all the information you could ever possibly need to format text. If you are going to be stubborn and stick in essentials, you're going to want to open the paragraph panel, which is up under Window, Types and Tables, Paragraph. You're also going to need character, but I'm going to talk about paragraph. The same information is right here at the top of my screen. And what I'm specifically going to look at are these guys right here. This is space before and this is space after paragraphs. So again, knowing where having that paragraph symbol in play is helpful because it's going to add extra space after each one of these paragraph symbols. So obviously I have to select the text I want it to affect. And I can use the up and down arrows, or I can type the numbers in, and you can see now that there is just a little bit of extra space between each bullet, each paragraph. So if I zoom all the way out, you can see that as a very easy to read list. Okay? So that looks good. I would call that a successful list. Now let's try to make it a different way. Alright, so that was Again, all these lists are going to look identical in preview mode, and no one will ever know how you created them unless they were actually in InDesign looking at your work in normal mode to know that you used a couple spaces and the hidden character of a forced left alignment, which was that plus symbol, which forced the next text below to align to the upper text. Okay? Now we're going to make it using tabs. So I'm just going to duplicate this information. Just put it below. Alright, I'm going to take out everything in front of the text and we're going to start over. And we're going to do it probably the more official way. Okay, so now I once again just have each line ends with a return, and I still have that space after. I'll take that out as well so we can put that back in together. Alright, so here's our jumbled mess again. So we still are going to add in bullets. Here is the next easiest way to add in bullets. If you're in the advanced mode and you're looking at this top bar, you might have noticed this symbol, which looks like a bunch of bullets. And if you clicked it, it would in fact automatically create you bullets. Again, quick and easy. The only downside to this tool is you don't get a lot of customization. And I personally feel that the space between the bullets and the start of the words is too vast. My eye sort of like loses the connection between the bullet and the text. So I feel like this looks a little clunky and I wish I could have a little bit more control over the space between the bullet and the copy. So if you really just want to get it done and you're not being a very precise designer as you should be, there is this bullet tool right here. Alright, we're going to turn that off. We're going to make these bullets ourselves. Alright, so I just unclicked it, back to text. Alright, let's add in a bullet. Again, shorthand for adding bullets is Alt Bullet. Okay, we're back. I apologize. I had to stop and answer a chat and then I hit the wrong button. Okay, we're making bulleted lists another way. Here we go. Alright, so once again, we added in our bullet, which was Alt 8, and put that in preview. Alright, and this time, instead of putting just a space after the bullet, I'm going to put a tab in, so I'm hitting the tab key. Okay, and again, that's like a humongous tab, but we're going to fix it. So let's just copy and paste the bullet and the tab at the end of each one of these. Okay. And I'm sure a lot of you, if you copied in text that had bullets in it from a Word document, when you brought it into InDesign, it looked like this. Let's make this look a little bit nicer, like up here. The first thing we're going to have to do is fix the spacing of the tab. We're going to adjust the default tab to make it less ginormous. So we're going to open up the tab window, which is a keyboard shortcut of Control-Shift-T. Opens up tabs. It can also be found under Type Tabs, right here. Okay, and again, you have to highlight the text you want to change. Just like Microsoft Word tabbing, you just click above the ruler, and that horizontal line, or sorry, that vertical line that comes down will show you where the tab will be. I would just visually eye up where you want this tab to go. That looks pretty good to me. And if you're trying to actually align it to a specific number, once you've made the tab and it's highlighted, you can type in here and it'll move. You can see it shifted ever so slightly. There you go, shifted a little bit more. I think that's too much. Let's go back. Okay, and then I'm going to remember this number, or even better, I can just copy it. So I highlighted it by triple clicking, Control C, copy, Okay, I'm done with my tab. I can close this, or you can leave it up if you like it. And now let's go back and look. It's looking a little bit better. We still have this alignment issue. Now, yes, I can still use my fun trick from above and get these working nicely real quick. But instead, this time I'm going to use the paragraph tools and do it probably the more official way. Alright, so I have all my paragraphs highlighted. I'm going to look back up here on the paragraph panel, or if you have it as a side panel over here, that's fine too. Alright, so now I'm looking at these tools right here. These symbols are saying left alignment. So if I want, I'm going to push the left alignment off of the left edge of the text box. And I actually want to push it off the same amount of as the tab, so I can just do Control V, or I could have remembered that number. And then the actual bullet has to hang left of the text. So that is this next symbol, which is saying the first line of the paragraph can have a special amount of indentation, and it can actually be a negative number, which is what we want in this instance. So I'm going to put minus key, and then that same value, 0.944, hit enter. And now all of a sudden I have another beautiful numbered list. And I'll add a little space in between again, and this time I'll use the space before. You'll see that it visually looks exactly the same. It's just a matter of putting space before or after paragraph breaks. So in normal mode, you can kind of see the difference now between the two. This one we have a tab, and we have formatted the paragraphs to have a forced indentation of 0.1944, and with the first line of that indentation going out negative 0.1944, which pushes the bullets back to the full left of the text box. And in preview mode, it looks like a lovely list. Okay, so that's probably the way I showed most of you how to do this, and that is, the most official way to do it. That if you understand this logic using these paragraph tools, you have a lot more control over formatting text, whether you want to create bullets or you want to just create indented paragraphs of information where the first line is indented. That's exactly what you would use this guy for. You'd have a positive number in there, and this would be a 0. If you were trying to have inset text or like callouts where it doesn't quite span the full width of the text box, you could definitely use this forced left extra space tool, and then this is forced right extra space tool. So this would give you extra padding to the right of your text box if you wanted something that kind of centered in the middle. So those are some great tools to know. And again, these are the space before and space after paragraph tools, which also help you have a little extra space between your bullets, which is not going to be a full hard return space, so it gives you more freedom to have the exact amount of space that you want. You're not constrained by the leading of your document. All right, so that is 3 different ways to lay out a bulleted list, and how to get different funky bullets in there. Now let's make this a numbered list. So I'll just copy out this text again. Copy. Make a new page. Let's put it down here. Okay. Normal. All right. Paste this in. All right. So next we're going to do a numbered list. So I'm going to have to take off these bullets again. There we go. Okay, we'll take out the space. All right, and we're going to undo all of this. All right, so we're back just to regular text in a text box. Now, I'll give you, I think, two options. The first option is, you might have noticed when I hit this bulleted list, the thing right below it was a numbered list. So sure, you could hit that and you're basically done. I think this one looks a little bit better than the bulleted list because spacing is not quite as ridiculous. You'll notice that the 10 is a double-digit number, so there's a lot less spacing visually, right, between the period and the F in flamingos for 10 than at the end of the period and the T and the for 9. And obviously, or maybe not so obviously, usually the number 1 is the narrowest character in any typeface, and so that will have the most space. But all the copy is still left aligned to the same point. And that is what we're looking for on a numbered list. So when you are coming up with your own amount of spacing between the period and the text, you need to make sure you do it looking at the widest number. So that's usually the last number in the list, right? The biggest number is going to be the widest. So just helpful tip, keep that in mind. Okay, so yeah, we could just hit this number button, but we can also do it ourselves. Let's do it ourselves, right guys? So I'm going to have to put in some numbers. So bear with me. 4, 5, 6. I kind of want to make it all the way down to 10 because we can then look at, again, how 10 is bigger. Okay, so here's some numbers. Now, as I was saying, just using our control pipe shortcut is not going to work. And here's why. Oops. While I love it, and it's so fast to force align things, you can see that while the F in flamingos down here for 10 is great, no other line of type is aligned there. And even if I didn't have a 10, I had like 1 through 9, or in our cookbooks there was really never more than like 5 or 6 steps. It might look close, but it's not perfect. Once I zoom in, you can see that there's a little bit, oopsies, of wiggle between these different letters. And it just doesn't look straight. And it looks confusing. And frankly, it's wrong. Okay, so you might think you can like cheat your way out of it if you had a short list of a couple numbers. And maybe you can at certain typefaces, at certain sizes, but it's not going to work out for you. And then what happens when all of a sudden you have another list in the same document and it has, you know, more numbers, plus when you get into double numbers, right? So that's not going to work. Zoom back in. So we can't just do our space and our little symbol. We're going to have to use the tab functionality that we did with the bulleted list above. And it's honestly, it's the same process, so we'll just repeat it here. So where bullets, you could use some spaces and that force line alignment character. Numbered lists, you have to use tabs in the paragraph panel, okay? All right. Delete that. All right, so I'm going to use a guide just to visually line up where I think I want the text to align to. I'm going to highlight all the text. I'm going to open the tabs panel, type tabs or Control-Shift-T. And I'm going to click and drag and put it in there. I can switch to preview mode to kind of take a look at it. Be like, yeah, 10 looks good. I have to be looking at 10 because there's 10 things in this list and it has to feel good on 10. If you wanted to, you could right align these numbers like so. So if I click another tab and then choose right align, and then if I put a tab in front, you can see what that looks like. So 10 won't move, but the rest of the numbers now are right aligned, so the periods all end at the same point, right? And then the text is left aligned on my other tab, and that's what this is starting to look like. So if you like the equal spacing between the number and the information, that would be one way to do that. So again, I just select the text so you can see it. There's a right alignment tab first, which is where the periods are lining up to, and then there's a left align tab, which is where the information is lining up to. And I just added a tab in front of the numbers to push the numbers over to activate that first tab. Okay, so now to fix the wrapping of the secondary lines of information, we're going to need to once again remember this number or copy it. Come back up to our paragraph tools. We're going to push the information to the right, and we're going to negative out that same value back left, and let's add a little space, and voila, you have a beautiful numbered list, like so. I personally like it with the periods aligned, especially when you start having long lists that have, double digits to them. But it's really a visual preference. If you don't like that, you can have the bigger space. It's not a big deal. I have to add 2 tabs in though because there's 2 tabs set to this paragraph now. So if you like it like that better because you want everything flush left, the numbers wise, like looking at 6 through 10, you can do it that way too. It's honestly designer's choice or client's preference. Okay, so hopefully that helped you guys with how to format your text when you have numbers or bullets. And I would definitely check that out. Try it out. And it'll just help make your documents look more polished, more sophisticated, and professionally designed.